Okay. I'd like to start now. It's a couple of minutes after. Hopefully everybody who was trying to log in was able to log in. I just want everyone to know that I am recording this. For some people who are unable to join us today, so I will be recording today's webinar. What I'd like to do now is just make sure that everyone can see the PowerPoint presentation that I have. If you're online, if you could just let me know, can you see the PowerPoint presentation? Okay, looks like some people are using the chat, which is perfect. Georges, can you see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, Monica.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the new features for Hydro GeoAnalyst 2013. I'd like to go through some of the features in the PowerPoint as well as show you some things right within the program. So feel free to ask questions if you have questions while I'm going through. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go over a really brief overview of what HGA is in case any of those who have joined us today have not actually used HGA before and aren't too familiar with the program. Then I'd like to go right through the new features. I have 10 new features that I'd like to go through during the webinar. And then at the end, we can open it up for additional questions that people might have. So one of the other things I just wanted to let you know is that we do have training available for HGA. So this is really just a brief introduction to what the new features of HGA are. If you're interested in actual training on the program, we have one-day online training courses, as well as 4-day, what we call open enrollment, which means that we will go to various locations and provide a full 4 days of training on the software. And we do have one of each of those coming up. There is a 1-day, which is an online course on June 13th, as well as one running May 7th to May 10th. And that's actually, we're hosting it here within our own offices in Kitchener, Ontario. If you'd like to register for the course, you simply need to contact our sales department, and I have the email here. And if you mention that you were at this webinar, you can get a 20% discount on the training courses. So what is HGA? Hydro GeoAnalyst is a database management solution. We developed this and released it. I think the original version was back in 2004. And so the whole idea is Hydro GeoAnalyst has several different modules. These modules allow you to do things like take all of your data from your various sources, wherever they may be coming from, and unite them all in a single database. So Hydro GeoAnalyst is running on top of a SQL Server database. Thereafter, once you have the data in your database, you might have questions or concerns about your site. And so Hydro GeoAnalyst, or HGA, allows you to visualize and analyze that data all within the same program that stores and manages your data. So you can generate time series, you can generate borehole log plots, maps, cross-sections, 3D visualizations, even reports and more. So any question you may have, then HGA helps you answer that question about what's going on at your site. So by having all of that information together in one place, in one location, you can be more efficient with both your time and your money, because you can be spending your time doing the analysis and understanding of the data instead of trying to update multiple spreadsheets or having multiple different databases spread throughout with different people storing different data. And this also allows you far better quality control. All of the data is in one place, and you always know where to go to get the most up-to-date data about your project. The other nice thing is it is very easy for you to quickly update your project when new information comes in, whether it comes in from the field or whether it's additional information that was found through research or through previous reports, etc. So now what I'd like to do is go directly into the new features for Hydro GeoAnalyst. So we released Hydro GeoAnalyst 2013 earlier this month. and there are 10 features that I would like to present during this presentation. I'm going to go through them one at a time, like I said, and then I'm also going to switch to the program to sort of give you an understanding or a view of what each of the modules or features can do for you. So the first one I'd like to talk about is the event planning module. The event planning module allows you to better manage your field activities. So if you have to have scheduled stations or on a regular basis, you have to go out into the field, go to your stations, collect your data. We have this event planning module that allows you to do that. So you can regularly schedule your stations. And so then you will even be reminded of when a station is due to be scheduled. And you can have multiple schedules running within a project. So for example, if you have one set of wells that you only go and visit once a year versus another set of stations that maybe you go every 3 months, quarterly you go, you can run both of those schedules on the same project. So then you can create plans for those field activities. So like I said, you will get notification when it's due for a station to be sampled. And then what you can do is create a plan for the field activities to go and collect information from those stations. So your plans will include what stations you need to go to. It'll allow you to indicate where you need to take QA/QC samples. For instance, if you need to take a duplicate somewhere or if you need to prepare a trip blank, etc. It'll allow you to indicate parameters that are going to be analyzed. So when you collect the sample, what parameters the lab will be analyzing the sample for. Any additional information that you might want to collect while you're at that station, so additional field information, as well as generate a checklist for your field personnel so that they have a list of things that they need to bring when they go into the field. And then once a plan is finished, you can also close out a plan, and this is really for you to be able to say, okay, we planned to sample these stations and collect this information. Now we just need to compare, make sure that when you went into the field, you did in fact do what you were planning on doing. And if you missed a station for whatever reason, then you also have an option to reschedule it. So what I'd like to do is just go over into Hydro GeoAnalyst. This is another new feature that I'm going to touch on in a minute, but I'd like to just start. This is our regular demo project. This is the event planning module. When you launch it, it launches as a new tab, as many things will. When you start to play with Hydro GeoAnalyst, you'll notice that newer features are now being loaded as a tab. And so the first thing I mentioned was that you have this option to schedule your stations. So here, for example, I can create a new schedule, say, for example, for my summer schedule. I can pick the stations that I want to schedule, however many you want. You can flip through your different station groups here and pick the different station groups that you want and pick whichever stations. You can set a reoccurrence. And you can set a reminder how often you wish to be reminded when these stations are due. So if I save that and close out of here, you'll notice that I have now a schedule here on my calendar because the event planner is really just a calendar. And when I click on that, you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, here are the stations that are due to be scheduled, or sorry, due to be sampled. If you have multiple schedules, like I said, you might have a schedule that comes up on one day for 4 stations and another day for another couple of stations. You can actually plan to schedule both of them just by clicking on both days, and then all of the stations will show up that are due for planning. So now when you know that you have some stations that are due for scheduling, let's go ahead and create a plan to go and sample those stations. So I'll call this, for example, summer 2013. I can pick the day that I want to go out into the field, indicate who the field technician is going to be for this round, the lab that we're going to send the information to, and who the approver is. Just some basic information. So the plan recognizes that these are the 4 stations that need to be sampled, but I can add more if I want to. As always, I can pick from the different station groups and pick additional stations if I wanted to. I can indicate a QA/QC sample. So I can say, okay, I know that you're going to these 4 stations. You know what? When you're at this station, you need to do a duplicate for our QA/QC program. On the next step, you can indicate which parameters are going to be analyzed by the lab when you send in your sample. So we have a number of different groups, so you can pick from the different groups. Maybe we'll pick a couple of the typical organics. There's lots of different groups and different chemicals. You can scroll through all of them. We also have a nice little tool here that will allow you to create additional parameter groups. So because these lists can start to get quite long and unwieldy, if you click onto the parameter list editor, here you can see the entire list of all of the chemicals. You can add additional chemicals, and then you can create your own groupings here to be used within the event planner. So I'll just come back to that. Then on the next, I will go back just for one other thing. You have the option, by default, it's going to indicate that all of the same parameters are going to be analyzed for all of the stations. However, if you want to, you can have individually for each station indicate which parameters are going to be analyzed. So if there's a difference between the stations. The next step, I was mentioning that you can indicate whether or not you want the field personnel to collect additional information. So you're going to collect a sample, but at the same time, you can indicate, okay, I want some field measurements also taken while you're there. Give me the temperature and the pH and the dissolved oxygen, for example. Here I can make this bigger so it's easier to see. Okay, so you can pick additional information that needs to be collected while they're out there in the field. And again, you have the option. This is going to, by default, apply it to all stations within the plan, but if you want, you can individually select which parameters need to be collected at which stations. So then the last step is you can create a checklist. This is more or less for you to indicate what needs to go into the field when they go and do their field plan. Excuse me. So really, it's up to you for creating a checklist. I'll show you how this comes out on the field plan at the end. This is just an example. So at the very end, when you hit the finish button, what it does is it generates a report in Word. And so the first page is going to be a summary of the plan. It's going to indicate here are the stations that need to be sampled, and it's got the latitude and longitude values. So if your personnel have the GPS, they can just put in the numbers. And it also has the checklist of what to bring and making sure they bring it back from the field as well. And then thereafter, each page is per station. On the station, again, it indicates the coordinates, it indicates the parameters that need to be analyzed. If you had a QA/QC sample that needed to be taken, that would be indicated here too, as well as the field measurements that you need to take while you're in the field. So if we scroll to the next page, you'll see this is where I indicated, hey, you know what, you needed to take a duplicate. So there's an indication here as well. So this allows you to simply print off this report and pass it to your field personnel, and they'll have all the information that they need in order to go and successfully carry out your planned field activity. Okay. I'm going to close that for now. So now, once the field plan has been gone through, you want to come back and actually close out that plan, because you want to indicate that, hey, you know what, we actually did go and collect all of those samples that we were intending. So we'll pick the plan. You can see this was what the summer 2013 plan had originally started with. This is the date we were going to do it. This is the information. It will also indicate here everything that was supposed to be collected, right? So each station that needed to have a collection, each table that had a table from our database that had extra information. So you needed to collect your field measurements as well while you were in the field. And here for GBO3, you also needed to do a duplicate sample. So if everything went well, you can just say select all, and everything was collected that was planned. However, if somebody didn't collect something, you need to provide a comment to say what? You can say, oops, I forgot, or whatever reason. You didn't have access, you couldn't collect the station. So then if you don't have, I'll do that for the whole of station 5. On the last step, if you have one station that you missed, you can actually go and reschedule that missed station, right? So for whatever reason, if you couldn't get it, you ran out of time, you didn't have access to it for whatever reason, you can go ahead and create a brand new plan to just go and do the stations that were missed. Otherwise, you can provide some comments regarding how the field activities went, and then you can say, you know what, everything is as true as I believe it to be, and then you can finish off and consider that's a closed plan. From here, you can also see all of the plans. You can go and review them. You can reopen them if something has gone wrong, or you can go and reprint the plan if you printed off the report summary and your field personnel lost it or whatever. You can always come back here and reprint it for them. So that's our event planning module. I'm going to go back now to the presentation. There we go. And I'm going to go on to the next one. So the next option that we implemented was a new option for printing out the borehole log plots. That we did have some feedback that users were not finding the report editor within HGA overly friendly. So we were looking to provide a simple and easy way to print off your borehole log plot. So HGA has a borehole log designer that allows you to do terrific borehole log plots, and this is just going to allow you to more easily print them off. It's going to be found, the option is going to be found on the well profile tab. So it's not within the designer, but within the viewer, the well profile viewer. You can use, we have an SWS template, and you can use that to print off whichever station group is currently selected. So you select your station group, however many are in there, you can use the SWS template to print that off. But what we usually find is people want to create their own print template. So you want to put your own logo in, etc. You might have additional information from the database that you want to put into the template. So we have also provided the ability to create a new template. You need to use the base template, and then you need to just add a query that pulls in additional information onto the print template. And what you'll notice when you install HGA 2013 is that you'll be prompted to install the templates. So you always had the database templates installed within your installation of HGA, but now you also have several of these Office templates that we're trying to implement. We're just finding that people find the Office environment far easier in order for you to do your printing and your reporting. So let's take a quick look in the program now how I can print a borehole log plot through a PowerPoint template. So as I mentioned, this is going to be on our well profile viewer tab. I'm going to, let's look at my list of stations. Here I have a group of stations. I just have a few stations in this. I don't want to print 150. I'm just going to print a few. So you can, if you have your group of stations, these ones you know they're all ready for the printing. Here you can review your different BHLP. You can pick your different BHLP templates here. This is going to show you the different actual information here, right? And then here are the options to print to your PowerPoint. So, like I was saying, if you use this default one that's just called a station group template, you're going to print one slide in a a PowerPoint presentation for each of the stations in this station group. So let's just have a quick look at how that happens. It's going to pull an image of each and every single one. So when we open up the PowerPoint, you'll notice that there are 4 slides for the 4 stations. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so that you can sort of see. It's our template, but of course you can go to wherever you installed those templates when you installed HGA, and you can adjust things like make your own logo or add a client logo, etc. So with this template, it includes, it pulls automatically the station name, the X and the Y, and the elevation and top of casing. You know, the basic stuff from the station table. But as you scroll through, you can see here's GB3, GB4, GB5, so you can see all of the different stations that were printed. Really quick and easy. But really, I do find the majority of people, they want to create their own template, right? So let's take a quick look at how you would do that. When you create a template, you do need to start with a base, and you want to add a query of information from the database that you want to pull for each station that you're going to create a borehole for. So what I've done here is I've generated a query, or I thought I did in preparation. If not, I'll create another one. Sorry about that.
Therefore,
how about, sorry about that, I thought I had it all ready for the presentation. Well, why don't
therefore,
I'll just use this time to quickly create a new one. I'll create a new one called CHLP, and I'm going to pull the information that I want to pull into my template. So by default, we have the station name, also the X, the Y, the elevation, and the top of casing. But I also, perhaps I want to pull in something regarding, I don't know, something else, perhaps the well owner. And I'm just going to do this for the station group that I'm going to print. So when I run this, I can see these are the station groups. These are the stations in my group, the X and Y, the elevation, the top of casing, and here, for instance, are the well owners. Just as an example so that you can see the how you can create your own template. So we go back to the well profile. This is the option to create a new print template. It comes with the base template, and that's just essentially your base template that has a space for the image of your borehole. You can give it a name. And you can pick the query that has the information that you want to pull from the database when you're using this print template. What you get is, you can see here is the base template. I'm going to make this smaller so everyone can see it. Here is the space for the image of the BHLP. You can move this around wherever you want in your template. You can adjust things like your logo, and then you can use the fields from the database, and you can put them wherever you want on your template. Okay, and then once you save this. So that is my test one. When I go back and print, there's a test print template now. So here you can imagine you can create your own with whatever information from the database you want to show whenever you print off your borehole log plots. Okay. Let's go back to the presentation. So the next feature is we have also done some printing to Excel, because we're finding, again, just if what you want to do is print off some data, very common for your reports, if you're generating your appendices, that sort of thing. So we have an option to print to Excel, and it comes with an Excel template for your list of stations, for the results of your query, or if you just want to print off a table of information for your report. Then we also looked at providing an option to chart in Excel. So if you have, for instance, a query with some time series data, we have a chart template in Excel that will pull the information from the query, the results of the query, and automatically chart it in a time series chart. So let me see if I can quickly show you that feature as well. So as I said, just the basic station list, if you want to print that out for an appendix or something, we have this option here, print to Excel. And you can see we have the basic template, but you can add as many templates as you like with your own header and footer, etc. So you can see it's pretty basic. You change up the header however you want, and it just automatically pulls the information, makes it simple and easy for printing because it's in Excel, and most people are comfortable in Excel. Now, if you had a time series query, here's one that pulls some information for calcium over time and what the result values are. You also have this option here to chart it in Excel. So here you would need to say, okay, this is the template that I want to use. I can indicate I can say, here I'm going to say for each chemical, I'm not sure if I have multiple chemicals. Let's just do it each station for the date and show me the result value for right now. So when I hit OK, it's going to open up the template and it's going to show me that information automatically in the template. Like I said, you can go and adjust the template, you can put in your figure names, etc. And what we do is we push the information from the query to this data tab. We reorganize the data so that it can automatically be displayed on this chart. But then you can go in and do your adjustments in Excel because most people are comfortable and it makes it easy for you to quickly print off from Excel. Now let's go back to the presentation. The rest of the features I'm just going to describe unless anyone has questions about how they work within the program. So the next one is the start page. So another thing that we were hearing from our clients was that sometimes the program has so many features that it makes it difficult for people to know, sort of what you want to do when you first open up the program. So we decided to implement this start page. And the start page allows you to see very quickly at a glance where you can create a new project, open an existing project. In fact, here's a list of all your recently opened projects, as well as install the demo project. So it sort of guides you to quickly do the things that you first want to do when you first open up the program. Now, we also have a tab here that has all of the new features. So you can click through the new features, and then you can see a description as well as a video of the new feature. So for a lot of these, actually the majority of these features, there's YouTube videos that accompany the features. So you can go and watch them whenever in order to get up to speed on how the new feature works. We also have a tab for the release notes. For people who remember the README file that usually comes with HGA, it's the same thing. So you can go through the release notes. It explains the new release and what the new features are, what the bug fixes are, what the limitations are, that sort of thing. And then on the third tab, the support tab, we have a lot of important information here if you do want to contact our support team. So we have all of the information for our technical support team. If you email using this link within the support tab, what it does is it actually opens up your Outlook and creates an email, and it includes all of the system information that's down here that's collected from your computer. So this is very helpful for the technical support team to know when they're trying to answer your questions. So if you're encountering an issue or a problem, this information sometimes can help them to sort of pinpoint what might be going on. Now, if you're having trouble sort of explaining what exactly you are doing within the program, we've also got a link here for the problem step recorder. This is a little tool. It comes automatically with Windows 7 or later, so it doesn't work in XP. But what it does is it's a really simple program. You just hit record, and it records, takes screen captures of each of the little things that you're clicking with on the program, and then it just creates a little file for you to send to technical support, and then technical support can go through the screenshots and see exactly what was going on at each step that you're going through when you're encountering a problem. So that's more or less a way to help you to explain what's going on. Now, on the right-hand side here, we have the link to the YouTube channel, so you can go and see all of the videos. We also have the link to our online FAQs, so you might be able to find the answer to your questions there. And then we also have a link to our training page. So if you're interested in getting more training on HGA, you can find it in the next courses. So I'm hearing some feedback. I'm just going to see if I can, if everyone can mute their microphones while we're doing this presentation, just so that we're not impeding other people from hearing. Thank you. So you saw while I was preparing a query that the query builder looks a little bit different now too. So we've updated the query builder. It's going to generate the SQL statements automatically. So in the old query builder, you always had to generate your SQL statement first and then you could run it. So now it does that automatically for you. The other nice thing is that the results are going to be shown in the data query tab. So your new query builder launches as a tab and the data query tab shows the results. This allows you, with the new ability to customize the look of HGA, to see both at the same time. Or if you want, you can actually pull one of the tabs right out and put it onto a second monitor, and you can be working on the design of your query, and you can execute it and see the results all at the same time. So it sort of makes it a lot nicer for when you're spending a lot of time in the query builder building your queries. One of the other things that we implemented is if you like to use the SQL view where you're writing your own SQL statements, we have, we have now implemented this autocomplete. So if you're typing your own statements, as soon as you enter in a couple of letters, it will try and give you a list of the stations or the fields or even the SQL commands that you're trying to write. Similar to what you can find sometimes in Management Studio from Microsoft. Just makes it easier for you to generate those statements on your own. So the list editor was also updated. This is the module where you can create a drop-down field for any field within the database. So what we've done is we've implemented a tree view in order to find the fields. Before it was a drop-down list, and that could be a little bit tricky to find exactly the field that you're looking for. A simple option for importing from CSV, as well as an option to import based on images, so the list editor can also contain an image. And this also launches as a tab, so it gives you the ability to customize the look and feel. So this is what it looks like. Like I said, it launches as a tab now. So you can have multiple tabs open. You can open and close those at any time that you want to adjust the look of HGA. So like I said now, instead of the long drop-down list of the fields, the list editor just shows you the tree that you're used to seeing in other parts of the program, like the template manager or the query builder, so that you can quickly create your drop-down lists for the program. The material specification was also updated, so we're also providing a simplified import from a CSV file, as well as an option to import from images, which can allow you to very quickly create your own material specification. Because we do find that the majority of people want to create their own classification of soils. There's usually something unique that they want within their classification. We also have a more useful export, so a nicer way to export out your classification. So once you've set it up with the name and the image so that you can send it if somebody needs to approve the classification. And as I mentioned, it also launches as a tab. So the material specification, it looks like it did previously. It's just we've refreshed it and provided a couple of new options. So on the left-hand side, you'll find the specifications that come with the program, and on the right-hand side is where you can create new ones. Of course, you can steal the names and the images from anything in any of the standards that we have when you're creating your new one. But as I mentioned, we have this new feature where you can actually import and create your soil specification from a list of images. So if you have your own images to represent your soils, you can simply use this option. You can import them all in at once, and the name of the file will become the name of the soil. So it's a way for you to quickly create your list. And that's the same option that's in the list editor. If you have, for instance, colors that you want to associate your descriptions of your soils with, you can quickly pull in colors. We've also implemented support for SQL Server 2012. So in the previous version of HGA, we supported the 2005 SQL Server. We will continue to support SQL Server 2005 in this release, but we were also supporting SQL 2012. We support the Express versions as well as the full editions. But with the 2012, we have a new local database option. This local database is a silent install that goes on when you launch HGA. It's currently available just for the demo project. So if you want to install the demo project so that you can play and test with things, you don't actually need to install it on your full SQL server. You can just install it locally on a local database, which is essentially just a couple of working files that the program will use. Currently, the local database option is not available to create new projects on, but we're working on that. So one of the other comments that I want to make is that SQL 2012 is only supported on Windows 7. So you cannot, Microsoft will not even allow you to install the 2012 on XP. It's simply not supported. The next
Good morning, Papadopoulos and Associates.
Hi, we're in the middle of a webinar.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was just ringing in.
I'm not sure. We're in the middle of a webinar right now.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. Okay, so the next feature is the SQL Server Authentication. So when you're creating new projects within HGA, you used to always need to use the Windows authentication. The SQL Server Authentication has now been properly implemented. This means you can provide a username and a password, and that the user will be prompted every time they open up the project for that username and password. So now you have the option Windows authentication or SQL Server authentication when you create new projects. And so the last one, just to talk a little bit more about some of the user interface improvements. I've sort of talked about some of them when I talked about the new features or the updated modules. You have the option to show and hide your project tree. That's just so that you can maximize the space. Your tree can be pinned to the left or to the right. You have additional grouping folders on the tree. So in the previous version, you could make folders on your query. Well, now you can do it on other items on your tree. So if you want a folder to group your station groups or your maps or your cross sections, you now have that as well. We also have, because we find some large projects, the tree can become quite long. We have an option to filter it. So when you pick the filter, you simply just need to start typing for whatever it is you're looking, and it'll show you anything that matches whatever you've typed in there. I've also talked about the tabs a lot during the presentation. So anything that's in a tab can be pulled out of the main HGA frame if you want to make use of multiple monitors. This is a very nice way, again, for you to be able to customize the look of HGA to suit whatever it is that you're doing within the program. So I think this is just a screenshot to show you how you might be able to rearrange and customize the look of the program itself. So like I said, you can hide or show the project tree here if you're looking to maximize your screen real estate. You can have multiple groupings of tabs. So here you have some tabs, here you have another different tab, and then you can look at, say, your well profile all at the same time. Or if you wanted to, you can actually take one of these tabs, click on it, and drag it right out of the main HGA view and onto a second monitor. It's a little tricky because I'm on my laptop right now, so I can't show you how to do that, but it's pretty easy. So then you can really customize the look and the feel of HGA. Some people might want to have different things open and viewed while you're doing manual entry versus while you're trying to do analysis. So you can very quickly and easily rearrange the way that HGA looks. If you start rearranging your tabs and it kind of starts to look crazy and you don't like it, always remember you can go back to your project menu item and go default tab. And the default tab location will just have your tree and then your 4 basic tabs in one grouping. And it'll go back to the way that you're used to seeing it in previous versions. So at this point, I just want to reiterate, we do have some HGA training coming up. And if you mentioned that you came to our webinar, you can get a 20% discount on that training. Please contact our sales if you have any questions about that. And then at this point, I'll open it up for any questions that anyone might have.
Monica, I am Mohammed Riaz from SQL, Qatar. There are 2 general questions.
Okay.
This was a very good presentation, and this will be, the new features will be very helpful.
Oh, great.
But these 2 questions relate to projection parameters and export of data in a single for one well in a single record. So we have a very monitoring events. We measure water quality, say 4, 5 times on the same well, but we want only one time value. I am not able to export that thing.
Sorry, I'm having a difficult time hearing you. You're trying to export the data for a particular station?
Yeah, particular station which have multiple monitoring events.
Okay. And
you want only one monitoring event data. The parameters, the station number and the parameters in one record.
Okay.
I am not able to do it.
You're trying to create a query so that you can export out just one monitoring event.
Yeah.
For one station. So you're in your monitoring event, likely you're talking about your samples and your results, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you would need to do is find the unique value, which is going to be your sample ID. So under the monitoring event, your sample ID here would be likely what's going to, for one particular station, you have one sample ID. So in your query, you would want to add the sample ID field to specify, hey, you know what, I only want the information for this particular sample. And then it will only pull the results for the corresponding sample. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can see here I have multiple different samples. Here I have 6 different samples, but when I look at the results, I can see the results for, and this one's not too interesting because it's all zeros, but you can still see I have 12 different results. So there were 2 results for every sample that was taken here. We have this nice option here. We implemented this in the last version where we have a filter row. So if you just start typing here, it will start to filter. So if I only want GB and I only want from October 2nd, as soon as I start typing here, it'll start to filter this. So then you can print that to Excel, or you can export that out just like that. Does that answer your question?
The second question is, yeah, okay, thank you. The second question is where we can input projection parameters.
Do you mean in order to do the projection transformation to latitude and longitude?
Yeah, we have done field surveys. We have got X, Y, and Z in a certain projection parameters. We have those metric values, so we want to add those.
So you want to add your own. You want to add your own projection here. You mean for the coordinates?
Of the country. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the feature in order to be able to do that within the program. We would need to look into having the developers add that for you. Is that something that you could send to our technical support team with some more information about the specific projection that you're wanting to use and what all of the properties are for the projection? And then we can look into what we could do for you.
Thank you. I will send that information.
Yeah, technical support is the one who would collect the information, and then we can see what we could do with adding that.
What I saw here.
Sorry, were there other questions? So since I've recorded this, we are going to be putting the copy of this video on our SWS blog, and we will send everyone a link once it's uploaded, in case some people in your office weren't able to make it and they're interested in watching it. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar.
Thank you, Monica.